Good morning, everyone. I'm Jorge, an EM on the React team at Meta. Welcome to day 2 of React Conf. I hope you all had a fantastic time last night with karaoke. And it's good to see the room is full, even though some of you probably had some drinking last night. It's truly incredible to be here today, witnessing this amazing community come together. Today, we're about to mark a significant milestone in the journey of React Native. And I'm thrilled for the team to share some exciting developments with you. So, as you can see, our community is thriving. These images capture just a glimpse of the passion and dedication that drives React Native forward. It's a testament of what we can achieve when we collaborate and work together. When you choose React Native, you're choosing to write better applications with less code. Our framework was built on the promise of learn once, write anywhere. This means you can leverage React Native to share a significant portion of your code base across different platforms. And in many cases, you can even use the exact same code base to create truly multi-platform apps. Take our React Conf app, for example. It's built from a single code base, yet each version adapts seamlessly to the unique design language and convention of the respective platforms. Yeah, definitely woo for that. These applications are crafted with the very same React you know and love, but they are rendered with the native views that each platform provides. This means you get the best of both worlds. The efficiency of React development combined with the authentic look and feel of native iOS and Android apps. You can fully embrace each platform's conventions and tap into powerful native modules and extensions. So you can build things like widgets and live activities. It's as truly native as it gets. So, at its core, it's the same React for web, but with the power and performance of native mobile applications. It's React, truly native. And over the past decades, React has gone from a hackathon project started at Facebook and evolved into a robust and powerful framework we know today. We've come a long way since its inception, and in this presentation, we're excited to highlight some of the most significant advancements and improvements from the last year and throughout our decade journey. Okay, so once the slides catch up with me, we're going to talk about our journey today. The conference 2025. Okay, we got a lot to cover today, and we'll start with the State of React Union, React Native Union, which will give you a snapshot of our community and our ecosystem. We'll look into new capabilities that are coming to React Native, and we'll talk about the future of React Native and the innovation yet to come, if the slides allow. And now, to talk about the state of React Native, everyone please welcome Nicola Corti.
Thanks, Jorge, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Nicola, and I work as a software engineer at Meta on the React team. And I'm truly excited to be here today, again at React Conf, and have the opportunity to talk with you about the growth that React Native has seen in the past years. So let's dive in. So first, let's talk about my favorite metric, download count. Obviously, the last time that we spoke here at React Conf last year, React Native was just downloaded 2 million times every week. But since then, yeah, hold on, because since then the growth hasn't slowed down. Today, you folks are downloading React Native 4 million times every week. That's a 100% growth from last React Conf, which is just wow. And I just got started, because looking at weekly download count doesn't give the full picture. Let's zoom out and look at how our yearly download count has increased over the last 10 years since we started. So since 2015, our growth has been truly incredible. Fast forward to today, and React Native has already been downloaded over 120 million times, and the year is not even over yet, folks. So yeah, those metrics clearly show how we evolved from just an hackathon project to a technology that is trusted by millions of developers around the globe. So now let's talk about releases. In 2025, we made a significant change as we moved to shipping 6 releases per year. This new schedule allows us to deliver both bug fixes and new features to you more frequently. And I'm also extremely excited to announce that just this morning, React Native 82 has been released on NPM. So the release blog post is called React Native 82, A New Era. So hold on, because my colleagues have a lot of features to share that has just been shipped, or will be shipped in the upcoming release in 083, which is expected later this year. So stay tuned for the rest of the keynote, because we have a lot of announcements for you. But we have another exciting milestone for our ecosystem to share. So we just crossed over 2,000 React Native libraries listed on reactnative.directory. So today, developers have more tools, components, and library at their fingertips than ever before. But it's not just libraries, right? Because what truly sets React Native apart is our community. We are proud to share that React Native now has over 2,700 unique contributors, a number that stands out as one of the most contributed projects in the ecosystem. But this isn't just a statistic, right? We truly believe that React Native is, at its core, a truly community-driven project. And we want to thank all of you for being part of this today. So, but community numbers only tell part of the story, right? As there are some apps in our ecosystem that are truly outstanding, and we want to spotlight today. Yes, because the real impact of React Native comes to life in the beautiful application built by developers like you all around the globe. So in this next section, we're going to take a sneak peek at some of those apps that we believe are truly worth a mention. So first, let's take a moment to recognize some outstanding achievements. Because many React Native apps, aren't just popular, they are award-winning. Over the last years, several React Native apps received unique awards in the various stores, mobile stores. So these awards highlight both the technical skills of the teams behind those apps, but also the real-world impact that those apps are having on their user base. So let's look at some of them. First one is Rise, a beautiful sleep tracking app. Rise stands out not only for its powerful features, but also for its beautiful user experience. The team at Rise leverages React Native Skia to render a unique, elegant UI, delivering smooth animations and stunning charts that sets a new standard for mobile design. Next up is Runna, an amazing running coach application. I'm a runner myself, and I love this app. What sets Runna apart is its deep integration with native platforms, enabling the app to provide real-time background guidance during your workouts, while still accessing all the native APIs needed for wellness tracking. And they're also using React Native Skia to render those beautiful workout recaps at the end of your races. And finally, Partyful, a delightful social event planning app. Partyful was recognized as Best of Play Store last year. And other than being a beautiful app, Partyful is also pushing the boundaries on iOS, integrating natively with features like app clips and live activities. So we believe that those apps are just some fantastic example of how React Native can be leveraged to build award-winning applications that can feel right at home in the platforms they're running on. So I think they deserve a big round of applause for those apps, please. But building beautiful and impactful React Native apps is possible only thanks to strong foundations that allow you to access all the capabilities of the underlying platform without unnecessary bottleneck. And those foundations are the new architecture. In the next section, we want to showcase some new architecture migration success stories from apps in our ecosystem. First, from one of our closer partners, Shopify. They migrated both their Shopify mobile and point-of-sale apps to the new architecture. They published an extremely insightful blog post detailing their migration journey. In it, they share both wins and pitfalls that they encountered along the way. I'm excited to share that thanks to the new architecture, they were able to significantly improve the app launch on both Android and iOS while reducing unnecessary re-rendering, so their application is both snappy and responsive. But new architecture also means new capabilities, right? So for example, let's take a look at Starlink, the satellite connectivity app. Starlink leverages the new architecture and React Native Vision camera to power their field of view screen. Thanks to this, they were able to deliver a truly native experience that makes an everyday task, such as network diagnostic, truly engaging for their users. So we've seen how migrating to new architecture is enabling teams to build beautiful applications. But there are other migration stories in our ecosystem that we think are worth highlighting today. And those are the migrations from platform-specific framework to React Native. So let's look at some of those. First one is Zalando, Europe's leading online fashion platform. Zalando is incrementally migrating their mobile app to React Native, allowing them to modernize their stack without disrupting their user experience at all. What's especially interesting is their use of React Strict DOM to share code between web and native platform. If you're interested in learning more about the technical details of this migration, folks at Zalando just posted an extremely insightful engineering blog about their migration journey. So go check it out. And another insightful migration is HelloFresh Group, a global leader in meal kit delivery. HelloFresh is actively migrating all of their mobile apps to React Native, demonstrating a strong commitment to cross-platform development. Their Factor app that you see on left has been almost entirely migrated into React Native, showcasing how even complex user flows can be seamlessly migrated to React Native. And thanks to this migration, they were able to accelerate development while maintaining consistency across a number of different brands. They also published a blog post on their engineering blog, showcasing their migration story, so make sure you don't miss it. And again, those are just some amazing story of migration journey in our ecosystem. So I think just by the fact that those folks are publishing their story and publishing blog posts, they deserve a big round of applause. So moving on, we would like to talk about the match between React Native and AI. So yes, we believe that the match between React Native and AI is a match made in heaven. The power of React Native allows you to greatly reduce the time to market for several emerging AI applications out there. So let's take a look at some of those. The first one is Mistral, an exciting new player in the AI space. Mistral Less Chat is built entirely with React Native, showcasing how powerful React Native has become for even advanced AI use cases. This app offers a conversational experience with audio capabilities, all delivered through a single React Native code base. Moving on is Replit, a platform that's transforming how people collaborate on code. The Replit mobile app is also entirely built with React Native. And this allows the team at Replit to deliver a seamless, high-performance coding experience across both iOS and Android. Again, all from a single code base. And finally, let's turn our attention to Vercel V0, a groundbreaking app that's redefining how developers build for the web. Vercel v0 is also built with React Native. And you know what is the best part? I heard Vercel v0 is now available in public beta. So go and check it out in the App Store. And we believe that those apps are truly unique experiences of how React Native is a great tool to support AI use cases, while allowing you to deliver extremely elegant and polished experience, such as this one. So as we wrap up our app highlights, we do have one final use case to mention. Microsoft Copilot for Office. React Native isn't just for mobile anymore, right? With React Native, you can reach your users wherever they are, on phones, tablets, desktop, and much more. Microsoft built a Copilot integration for Word entirely with React Native. The area that you saw on top, where Copilot brings AI-powered assistance into your documents, is entirely built with React Native. And it's impressive to see how it blends in with the rest of the desktop application. So, as we just saw, React Native is enabling teams to deliver native experiences on both mobile and desktop. But there are more future platforms they can reach today, thanks to React Native, which go beyond mobile and desktop. And today, we want to look at some of them. First, let's talk about an exciting development from Amazon, Vega OS. Yes, folks, this is a big one. So, Amazon has built an entire new operating system for their Fire TV devices. And what's truly remarkable is that React Native is built right inside of it. So I think it's effectively the first React Native operating system. So, folks, this is gonna power millions of TVs around the world, and is a huge commitment and investment from Amazon. By integrating React Native at the OS level, Amazon is enabling developers to build elegant TV experiences using the same technology that you all know and love. If you're curious to see it in action, make sure you check out the Amazon booth, where you can see it running smoothly, even on low-end devices. And make sure you don't miss the talk from Giovanni and Eric, React Native Amplified, just after the keynote. Another platform that we want to talk about is VR. Let's take a look at some of the experiences that we announced at Meta Connect last year. The Facebook and Instagram VR apps. Both of those applications have been entirely built with React Native, showcasing just how far the framework has come in supporting advanced, high-performance applications. Thanks to React Native, those teams were able to deliver beautiful experiences across platform, all while reusing a lot of existing code and components from web. But those are not just port of web versions, right? We added new specific features for VR devices. For example, on Instagram VR, we now show 3D images with a beautiful parallax effect. This feature is unique to VR, and thanks to AI, we can now create a parallax effect for images that weren't originally captured in 3D. This means that any photo can be transformed into a more immersive, dynamic experience, making your Instagram feed come alive in a whole new way. So this feature demonstrates again how AI and React Native together can unlock possibilities that were previously out of reach. So now you're curious about VR, right? Well, the great news is, today, you can also build for VR using React Native. We're thrilled to announce that the Expo Go app is now available on the Meta Horizon store. Yes, folks. This is a huge milestone for both React Native and Expo. With Expo Go in VR, you can preview and test your projects directly inside a headset, making it easier than ever to build immersive experiences. In this video, you'll see a developer using Expo Go on Quest, making changes to the React Native project and instantly seeing those updates in real time, thanks to Hot Reload, now in VR. And on VR, the possibility goes far beyond what you could do on mobile. In this video, you'll see how React Native enables you to leverage VR-specific APIs, such as accessing the ad set pass-through cameras, rendering your avatar directly inside your app, and so on. These capabilities open up a whole new world of interactive and engaging experience. The app you see on screen is available on GitHub at the URL that you see over here. And we'll be releasing more libraries to access Horizon-specific APIs, such as in-app purchases, notifications, and much more, with detailed guides and examples on how to use those APIs in the coming months. And as we have seen, React Native runtime and adoption have reached new heights. But there is another growth area that we want to spotlight, which is tooling. Over the past years, we have seen major advancements in developer tools, libraries, and framework that will make developing with React Native more enjoyable than ever. So let's take a closer look at some of those. Well, first, we couldn't talk about tooling without mentioning Expo. So we want to take a brief moment to look at their latest release, Expo SDK 54. With this release, you will get a bunch of new features, such as support for React Native 81, liquid glass, and precompiled binaries for iOS. Also, Expo just announced the Expo App Awards, an initiative to spotlight some of the most beautiful and innovative Expo apps out there, giving well-deserved recognition to the talented developers behind them. And finally, we also want to mention Expo Launch, which allows to ship your application to stores faster than ever before. And if you want to learn more about it, don't miss Evan's talk later today. So, folks, I think that Expo has been really groundbreaking for React Native. So again, they really deserve a huge round of applause, please. Yes. So let's move on to the first party side, because we want to celebrate our beloved React Native dev tools. Since you launched it last year, we saw huge community adoption. In case you don't know, React Native DevTools was a complete rebuild of our debugger architecture, closely integrated with React Native and Hermes. It's a focused product with a focused set of features, addressing fundamental reliability issues which have affecting the React Native ecosystem for a number of years, all while offering a cohesive experience which is aligned with the web, with the same web experience that you're familiar with on web. And again, React Native DevTools has been a huge hit with the community. And because we built React Native DevTools on standardized web debugging protocols, this has enabled third-party tooling, such as Radon IDE, to build upon our core. In this video, you'll see how Radon IDE now offers practical features like inline breakpoints. This means you can now manage, set, and hit breakpoints right where you write your code, making debugging for React Native faster and more intuitive. But this is just a sneak peek of where the tooling of React Native has arrived so far. I know you folks in the audience are eager to hear about some newly released features for React Native. So to talk about new capabilities, I'm excited to invite on stage my colleague Ruben and Alex.
Hey. Hi everyone, I'm Ruben and I work on the React team at Meta. I'm very excited to be here to talk to you about the progress we've made bringing new capabilities to React Native. In the last few years, we've put a lot of effort into rolling out the new architecture and making it easier for people to adopt it. We have been talking about how it improves performance and quality, and that it's a solid foundation to build what's coming next. Now that it's here, we want to show you all the value that we're getting from it. First of all, many libraries in the ecosystem have not only been adapted to work with the new architecture, but have been completely reimagined to do things they could not do before. Reanimated 4 is a great example of this. It's a full rewrite of the library built specifically for the new architecture. It has all the features available in previous versions and brings new ones like CSS animations and transitions, making it easier than ever to build spectacular user experiences. Flash List v2 and Legend List, the most popular community libraries for lists in React Native, have also been completely written from scratch to leverage the new architecture. Features like synchronous layout access allowed them to make lists faster using less resources. All this with a cross-platform implementation written exclusively using JavaScript. And it's not just well-established libraries adapting to the new architecture. React Native Enriched is a new library that provides a fully native rich text editor. And it was created targeting the new architecture from day one. It is so exciting to see how our community is embracing the new architecture and building amazing products and libraries with it. Now, let's take a look at what we're doing with it within the React Native runtime. I just talked about lists and how community libraries are innovating to improve performance and capabilities of lists today. The new architecture gives us exceptional control over the threading model, unblocking very exciting capabilities like synchronous rendering. We are currently leveraging this flexibility to experiment with new primitives and abstractions in the runtime that will allow us to bring lists in React Native to the next level. If you want to learn more about this, don't miss Luna's talk on this topic later today. Another big area where the new architecture is driving innovation is web convergence. Last year, we talked about a shift in how we saw cross-platform development, from being inspired by the web to being aligned with it. That means evolving React Native to support more web capabilities that are idiomatic in React apps. React Strict DOM allows us to start experimenting with that vision today. It is implemented as a standalone library, polyfilling a subset of the web stack, like HTML elements and CSS. Also, if you want to learn more about this, Nicola Gallagher is going to talk about it later today. Some of the functionality that React Strict DOM is meant to provide require a deeper integration with the runtime and could not be implemented in userland. Because of this, we've invested in the implementation of new web capabilities in the React Native runtime directly. And I'm very excited to share with you what we're going to bring to the community very soon, starting with DOM APIs. The DOM is a web interface that represents the application UI as a tree of nodes. It is the main API that allowed us to go from static HTML documents to highly interactive web apps. In React apps, it's what the React DOM renderer uses under the hood to render our components. We rarely need to use them directly, but there are some important use cases for which some of these APIs are a necessary escape hatch. So we've implemented some of them. Here you can see a small sample of how some of those APIs are used on React apps on web. And starting today in version 82, also in React Native. We've added support for other web capabilities in the past in React Native, but this is the first time that we add an imperative API that integrates directly with the React Native runtime. With the React Native renderer. With these APIs, you can access the DOM representation of any native component in your application. You can get information about their layout, their position on the screen, their size, margins, and so on. You can also traverse the tree through links to parent and child nodes. And also, for the first time in React Native, it provides access to text nodes. And they also provide access to a new type of node, the document, which represents the root of the tree and provides useful methods like getElementById to access any arbitrary nodes in the tree. Thanks to this, more code can now be shared between React Native and web. In this case, you can share all of it with using React Strict DOM. Thanks. This is, of course, a very simple example showcasing some of the new APIs. But the API changes are much larger than that. We've added more than 50 new properties and methods across 10 new web interfaces. As a more practical example, this is one of the core APIs that allowed us to use Visual Completion Tracker in React Native apps at Meta. VC Tracker is our internal JavaScript library to help us understand the performance of user navigations, which we've been using for years on websites like Facebook and Instagram. It doesn't only give us the duration of these interactions, but it also gives us a very deep understanding of how our users experience the loading stages in the page. This is how it works. When we detect a mutation on the page, we use DOM APIs to detect the content and the location of the inserted views on the screen. Then, when the interaction has completed, we can go back and determine what percentage of pixels rendered in those mutations made it to the final UI. Thanks to these web convergence efforts, we were able to bring that feature to React Native apps, reusing most of its existing code. And we're not stopping there. We're paying attention to how our community is using things like React Strict DOM and finding ways to accelerate our vision for cross-platform React apps. So please stay tuned for future announcements on new exciting web APIs coming to React Native in the future. If you want to start using DOM APIs today, please check the new documentation that's available on our website. Now, Alex will tell us about more exciting capabilities that we're bringing to React Native.
Thanks, Ruben. Complementing these new DOM APIs, I'm very happy to talk about new performance APIs and tooling coming to React Native. Performance is a huge focus for us. Having a fast and responsive app is pivotal to good user experience. This is something we've always cared about in the React team, and we've gone to great lengths to optimize React Native over the years to deliver amazing experiences out of the box. But we haven't always given people the tools they need to understand and improve their own app performance, or in particular, concepts and tooling that are standardized, understandable, and easy to work with. Today, that changes, as we're excited to bring the web performance APIs to React Native. These are new web-aligned performance events, as well as new runtime JavaScript APIs for apps to report measurements and tap into native details, all with minimal overhead. React Native now supports event timings, which, for the first time, give you visibility inside the runtime, from the start of a user interaction through the rendering pipeline to paint, following the familiar web rendering model. This means that event timings can indicate the responsiveness of your app, the time between user input and UI update. And being able to instrument these timings means we can identify potential bottlenecks in user experience. We're also providing new access to the JavaScript thread by exposing long tasks, tasks on the event loop that block and interrupt rendering across multiple frames, which can also indicate degraded performance. User timings allow apps to report their own custom performance events with labels, metadata, and categorization. Use performance.mark to label a moment in time, or performance.measure to record a span in time. These APIs can be thought of like logs, but better, recording events in high precision that will be rendered graphically in the performance timeline. User timings can be used by both apps and libraries. And in fact, they're the mechanism used by React's next-generation performance profiling, which Ruslan demoed yesterday. Performance Observer gives apps efficient access to read these performance timings. It's great for measuring performance in production, and is useful if you want to report telemetry and see what's really slowing down performance across the real devices in your app's install base. So, these new APIs are really useful building blocks for measuring performance, giving us more capabilities aligned with standardized web concepts. We have new performance events and a new API for accessing them via the runtime, even in production. But we also need some way to conveniently understand these performance characteristics during development. And of course, when you need to understand your React Native app, we have React Native DevTools. Yeah. Today, we're excited to announce that the performance panel is coming to React Native DevTools. And this is a really huge deal, bringing everything we've just seen together. It's packed with new and familiar capabilities to deeply inspect the performance of your app, and really to understand everything your app is doing. With the performance panel, you can take a recording of an interaction or journey, and receive a detailed profiling trace in a timeline view. This is organized in expandable, synchronized performance tracks, just like on the web. In React Native, we're supporting performance events from various sources, including JavaScript samples, user timings, and from React. With JavaScript samples, you can see what code is taking time in Hermes and what's been scheduled on the event loop. You get a visual flame graph reflecting the call stack of your application. This hides framework code by default, helping you focus on your business logic. User timings are a place for custom performance events in the timeline, such as those recorded by Performance Mark and Performance Measure. For example, the Facebook app uses Relay and records user timings corresponding with network and lifecycle transitions. Having these custom events can be great markers to highlight performance metrics that matter for your application. And with the React components and scheduler tracks, you can see the component stack being rendered over time and understand the operations and phases of the scheduler. This includes cascading updates, which is where a new update was scheduled during a render. These events are specifically highlighted in the performance panel as they're a common pattern for React performance issues. You can learn more about the React performance tracks on the React website, or again by watching Ruslan's talk from yesterday. This tooling is really powerful, and this is just the beginning. Our team is heavily invested in improving app performance across our range of target devices. Our goals include offering optimized performance build in open source, lighting up more of the performance features that are available on web, and integrating MCP. As well as this, we want to innovate where it makes sense to make these features more proactive and useful. And we're working with the Chrome team to build out the trace event format, performance panel, and other areas. Next, let's talk about network inspection. And yes, we're bringing the network panel to React Native Core. This is a native implementation of network inspection in our modern debugger stack, meaning it will work consistently and fully across all React Native apps. We support fetch, XHR, and the image component out of the box. The network panel records automatically, and just like on web, you can inspect request URLs, metadata, timings, and response payloads. And we support rich response previews for both text and image data, bringing across these familiar debugging features from the web. Our support for network expansion is also deeply integrated into the whole React Native DevTools experience in a couple of new and important ways. First, with support for Request Initiator. Requests show the symbolicated JavaScript call site, so you can immediately understand which piece of code fired off a request. Look at that. And React Native now populates the network track in the performance panel. This is such a useful integration, making the performance timeline even richer. Network timings are synchronized with all other performance events, providing useful context for what part of your app is running, as well as helping you debug slow responses and unwanted request waterfalls. With the performance panel and the network panel, we're happy to provide a comprehensive set of capabilities within React Native DevTools. And with our network support, we're exposing a third-party integrator API for frameworks and specialist libraries to hook into our native reporting layer. And we've got one more change to share. We're rolling out a first-class desktop experience for React Native DevTools. Our new desktop app, which will come out of the box, addresses a number of quality of life issues. It features zero setup with no browser requirement, one window per app, and windowing improvements, such as auto-raising when hitting a breakpoint, and saved window arrangements across launches, remembering the position of each window for the target app it was connected to. We're so excited about all of these new developer capabilities. We're rolling out DOM APIs today in React Native 82. And our other features will be landing in React Native 83, planned for the end of the year. Now it's over to Riccardo to talk about our broader future plans. Riccardo.
Hi, everybody. I'm Riccardo. I'm a software engineer in the React team at Meta. And wow, have you seen how many new features are coming up for React Native this year? And they are all based on the new architecture. If you were following us in the last conferences and talks that we gave over the year, there was one sentence that we kept repeating. And that is, the new architecture is the future of React Native. We did a lot of work in the past months to get to this point. We started last year, the new architecture started in 2018, but last year we moved it from experimental to beta, and you could start using that in your application and testing out to see how it was performing for you. Then, 5 months later, in October, we released React Native 0.76. It was the first release of React Native where the new architecture was enabled by default. And have you seen previously during this keynote, companies like Shopify already started using the new architecture in production successfully. And that's why, in May, we decided to freeze the legacy architecture. That meant that at Meta, we were not using the legacy architecture anymore. We were not accepting pull requests against it, and we were not even testing the legacy architecture before releasing a new version of React Native. So we basically deprecated the legacy architecture. So that's why today, starting from React Native 0.82, it's time to make the new architecture the only architecture. Or more simply, the React Native architecture. Having a single architecture has a lot of benefits, of course. The first one that we discover is bundle size reduction. So in our preliminary test, we have seen an improvement in bundle sizes for React Native up to 1 megabyte. And the second benefit is build time reduction. In iOS, for example, where we don't have precompiled binaries as default just yet, our example application went from 300 seconds to build to 140 seconds. Having a single architecture gives you a simpler mental model for you as an app developer or a library maintainer. You don't have to worry about the next library that you want to use in your app, whether it will work with the current architecture of your app. Because there is only one architecture, so the library will work. And for library maintainer, they only have to care about the new architecture when they develop the new library. So this means that the whole ecosystem can develop new feature faster and in a simpler way. the only architecture means that you cannot opt out from the new architecture anymore. So the methods that you learn over the past few months to go back to the legacy architecture, they are going to simply be ignored, starting from React Native 0.82. So your app will start always with the new architecture turned on. And if you try to forcibly enable the legacy architecture, for example, by manually instantiating the bridge, well, you're going to see this exception or this exception. So please don't do that. If you're not on the new architecture just yet, we want to know why. So please, if you find somebody with the blue T-shirt, come to us, tell us what is blocking you from adopting the new architecture. We are very committed to help you out and understand how we can unblock the remaining steps for you. But today, I also want to provide you some guides on how to migrate if you are on an older version of React Native. So listen up. The first step for you is to migrate it to React Native 0.81. That's the last version where we support both architecture. And it's the best version for you to try and enable the new architecture and see how the app performs and what you have to change to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So once you have done that, our suggestion is to move to 0.82, our latest release. This will make for you much easier to update to the next version of React Native that we're going to release in the next future. If you are on the new architecture already, instead, you'll probably reach this point by leveraging interop layers. Those are an abstraction layer that we created in the last couple of years that allows you to use legacy libraries also on your new architecture app. We have good news for you. Interop layers are going to stay for the foreseeable future. We want for the community to have a smooth transition between the legacy architecture and the new architecture, and we don't have plans to remove them. The removal of the opt-out is a transparent change for people already on the new architecture. And library will keep working as they are doing today because we are not removing any class in 0.82. Of course, the plan is to get there, is to remove the legacy architecture. So today, we are in this situation where we are not allowing you to use the new architecture, the legacy architecture in 0.82. But starting from tomorrow, we are going to start removing classes from the code base. This is the step that we need to push in order for you to get all the benefits that I described before. So the new architecture is not the future of React Native anymore. It's the present of React Native, and it is the only architecture for React Native. It is the foundation for smaller app bundle, faster builds, and for new features such as DOM API, new evolution of the current libraries, and even for new libraries to be developed. And we are just getting started. At Meta, we are already working on a lot of new features that we're going to present in the next future. If you're not on the new architecture, you are missing out everything that we described today during the keynote and everything that we released in the past few versions of React Native. Now, there is one thing we didn't talk about over the keynote today. And this thing is Hermes. Hermes is our JavaScript engine tailored specifically to improve performances of React Native application. And today, we have another announcement for you guys. And that is Hermes V1. Hermes V1 is the next evolution of our JavaScript engine with improvements on the virtual machine and the compiler for better performance. It is the foundation for just-in-time compilation and JavaScript to native compilation, something that we presented in the past couple of years under the name of Static Hermes. As I mentioned that Hermes V1 comes with performance improvement, but here are the data to prove that. We ran Hermes V1 comparing it against the current version of Hermes with a set of synthetic benchmark from the JavaScript ecosystem, and we have seen Hermes V1 outperforming current version of Hermes across the board, and with an average improvement of 60%. But as Joe Savona mentioned yesterday during his talk, synthetic benchmark only tells part of the story, right? So we also try to enable Hermes v1 in a real-world, complex application which is completely open source, the Expensify app. And we measure a few metrics such as total time to interactive, bundle time loading, and content time to interactive. And we have seen improvements in Hermes v1 against current version of Hermes up to 9%. We also run the same test using low-end Android devices, and we have seen similar improvements on the same metrics up to 7.6%. Hermes v1 is not only about performance, but it also comes with support for modern JavaScript features natively. We are introducing support for ES classes with public and private class fields, let and cost binding, async arrow function, and new set methods, and many more new features. The catch here is that you can already write your application with those, using those features in your TypeScript code, but today they are going through Babel plugins and polyfills. Hermes v1 supports those natively. That means that we can get rid of all the polyfills and embrace smaller bundles and faster loading time for your app. Hermes v1 is available starting today as an experimental feature in React Native 082. In our blog post, you can find all the instructions to enable it in your application, and you will have to build from source to actually integrate Hermes v1 in your app. We want to say a huge thank you to people from Software Mention, which helped us rolling out this new feature in the last version of React Native. So a round of applause for Software Mention, please. And now, to wrap up the keynote and to kickstart the second day of the conference, I want to call back on stage Jorge.
So good to see that Hermes is no longer static. What a presentation we had. We saw our React Native community is growing and getting stronger every day. We looked into new web-aligned capabilities with DOM and performance APIs. And quality of life improvements made to our tooling. And we've heard about the foundation of the future of React Native with Hermes v1. What an exciting year we had. But the thing I'm more excited about is what happened over this decade. And what happened over this decade? Well, I think we all know what happened. We fundamentally changed the way that a lot of people think about native app development. And a lot of native UI frameworks have taken notice and have been influenced by this work. And it's just, I guess, how many native platforms were influenced by the work we've done with React and React Native?
All of them.
Well, this is just an approximation. Thank you, Christopher. But the number of frameworks influenced by our work is roughly all of them. React and React Native's approach to app development with features like declarative UI programming, component-based architecture, state management, hot preload, and our focus on developer experience, they're all industry standards now. And we haven't done it ourselves. We did it with all of you. So I want to take this amazing community of React and React Native developers for getting us there. A round of applause to all of you. Thank you so much for being with us today and hearing about the future of React Native. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and the conference. Thank you so much.